This is the Batman movie that McDonald's and Warner Brothers wanted Tim Burton to make.
Yeah.
I know my iconic eye rolling. I did that. No one was in the room with me, and I just went, oh,
You know, I wondered why I felt something.
He just brings that humanity to the character that in my opinion, Michael Keaton never did.
Yeah, I would agree with that, except for one scene.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Real Chumps, where chatting about movies feels like hanging out with friends. I'm your host, Marcel, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Danny.
This week, we're discussing Batman Forever as it hits its 30-year anniversary. Directed by Joel Schumacher and starring Val Kilmer, Jim Carrey, Tommy Lee Jones, Nicole Kidman, Chris O'Donnell.
In this episode, we're discussing how Batman Forever reshaped The Dark Knight for the neon-drenched mid-90s blockbuster era. We'll also discuss the film's colorful visual style, its blend of camp and chaos, and whether its exploration of duality still holds up. As mentioned, we're kicking off a month-long celebration of movies hitting big anniversaries in 2025, and next week we're heading back to the Future. But before we roll the intro, if you enjoy what we do and want to support us, head over to realchums.com. That's REELCHUMS.com, where you can donate any amount, whether that's $1, $5, $2, whatever you'd like. We have no paywalls over on YouTube, so feel free to support that way.
And don't forget to follow us on YouTube at Real Chums and all other socials to join in on the conversation. With that being said,
let's roll that intro. All right, Danny, I have the question of the day.
Oh, you have the... Is this a quiz?
No.
Okay, good.
I thought about making a quiz.
I thought you might have. I actually thought about making a quiz, too. I was like, the amount of cheesy lines.
I would love a Batman quiz. Next time, bring it.
Maybe we should make one.
Spoiler alert to our listeners. So we're starting, right? We're doing anniversary movies, right?
Yeah.
30 years for Batman Forever. And we're going to be finishing the month with Batman Begins. That's hitting its 20th anniversary.
Which is crazy.
So maybe we'll do the quiz. Do a quiz for that one.
Okay, I'll prep it.
Yeah. Okay, here's a question for you. I want you to... I'm going to list out the names of all of the Batman and Bruce Waynes that have played... All the actors that have played Batman.
Okay.
On film.
Uh-huh.
And I want you to tell me which one you prefer over the other.
Okay.
Okay? Adam West or Michael Keaton?
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton or Kevin Conroy? And I'm adding Kevin Conroy because he...
Yeah.
Mask of the Phantasm came out in theater, so...
Kevin Conroy.
Over Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton.
All right.
Yes.
Kevin Conroy or Val Kilmer?
Kevin Conroy.
Oh, Kevin Conroy or George Clooney?
Still Kevin Conroy.
Okay, Kevin Conroy or Christian Bale?
Oh, this is a tough one. I still think I'm gonna go with Conroy.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, Kevin Conroy or Ben Affleck?
Ben Affleck.
Nah. Okay. Wow. All right. Ben Affleck or Will Arnett? Lego Batman movie.
Will Arnett. I'm gonna go Will Arnett.
Will Arnett. Okay. Will Arnett or Robert Pattinson?
Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson or Keanu Reeves, who voiced him in Super Pets.
That's right. Robert Pattinson.
All right.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson or Kevin Conroy?
Kevin Conroy.
Okay.
I love Kevin Conroy as Batman. Okay. You, what would you end? Adam West or Michael Keaton?
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton or Kevin Conroy?
This is hard. I would go with...
Right?
I would go with Kevin Conroy, yeah.
Right? Okay. Kevin Conroy or Val Kilmer?
Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy or George Clooney?
Kevin Conroy.
You're right. Okay, Kevin Conroy or Christian Bale?
Christian Bale.
You go with Christian Bale. Okay, I knew that. Christian Bale or Ben Affleck?
Christian Bale.
Yeah, okay. Christian Bale or Will Arnett?
I would go with Christian Bale.
Christian Bale, Robert Pattinson.
Oh, that's hard. I might do Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Robert
Robert
Pattinson or Keanu Reeves.
Robert Pattinson.
Okay, Robert Pattinson for you.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Christian Bale's a tough one. I think where I struggle, I would, if I was only selecting, I think, because I do. Okay, let me ask the follow-up question on this.
Yeah.
When you are considering this, do you classify them in both Bruce and Bat?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
'Cause I feel like some people would not. And because of that, I just think for me, I think Christian Bale's Batman.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I feel like his suave. Christian Bale I like his overall in his arc really great. Well, I guess we'll talk more about that.
We will.
At the end of the month.
Yeah.
But I have some thoughts on it. Is ultimately what I'm saying.
Okay, save them. I think what's hard about this is I'm trying to separate Batman, Bruce Wayne as its own bucket and not think of like the movie.
Yeah, I think that's hard.
I think that's why I'm thinking, oh, but that movie's good. I'm like, no, we're not talking about the movie. We're talking about the performance.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, Kevin Conroy slays in Batman.
He truly does.
He does.
R.I.P. man.
I know, dude.
No, he really does. You know what makes him so great is that he was the first person to really think about like changing his voice.
Yeah.
Between Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Yes.
Right? Because like Michael Keaton like just lowers his voice a little.
Yeah.
Like not the tone, but like in like volume.
Yeah.
You know, Val Kilmer does kind of the same thing. George Clooney did nothing.
No, it's just George Clooney.
It was just George Clooney, and so then Kevin Conroy is the first one who like really like as Bruce Wayne is this very sophisticated, eloquent speaking, like very like happy individual, right?
Very charismatic.
And then when he's as Batman, then he just like the deep gravitas voice of what is Batman, and it was just genius.
So good. Dude. Phantom, the fact that you brought the Mask of Phantasm.
Oh, a great movie, man.
Dude, I think that movie is legend. It's so good. My childhood Batman, when I think about Batman, that's the movie.
Yeah.
And I like that era of Warner Brothers Batman, just
so good.
their era of animation, of DC animation, is just amazing.
Yeah.
One day we'll get there.
We'll get there. Well, look, we're looking at Batman Forever. Val Kilmer passed away a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Not too long ago. And
R.I.P.
this movie's hitting its 30th anniversary in a couple weeks, and it just felt like a timely time to do this movie and revisit it. Let me give you a quick synopsis, and then let's talk about our relationship with it. But Bruce Wayne must battle with his own inner demons while facing two flamboyant new threats to Gotham. The maniacal Two-Face and the unhinged Riddler. Along the way, he meets a psychologist, Dr. Chase Meridian, and takes in orphan acrobat Dick Grayson, who ultimately will become Robin. Tell me your relationship with this movie.
Okay. I loved this movie as a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, so this 95, I was 3 years old. So, but like, a couple years.
5 or 6, you're watching this.
Yes. Like I remember going to Hollywood Video. Okay. Looking and seeing the VHS and be like, Dad, let's watch it. Right. And being able to, and like taking it home and being able to rent that bad boy and watch it on repeat. And loving it, and loving the fact that we got Two-Face, we got Riddler, we have these quirky scenarios. We have, as a kid, when it comes to Chase Meridian, and the Bruce thing, I was like, oh, they like each other, whatever. And as I grew older, understanding the nuances that came through the film, but also the fact that it introduced me to some of the Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey I didn't. My mom didn't like Jim Carrey, so I wasn't allowed to watch Ace Ventura, right? And so it took me several years after to even be able to watch Ace Ventura.
This was like your introduction to Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so and so there's just a lot to me and a lot of nostalgia watching this film.
Yeah.
And I think overall just does not age well.
Okay, all right.
But what do you got for him? What's for you?
I think it's the same thing. Like, it was exciting in that aspect. I remember really liking just like how bonkers it was. I think I liked it, and it worked. Look, we'll discuss this in a second, but like this is the Batman movie that McDonald's and Warner Brothers wanted Tim Burton to make.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it has the cool
Batmobile,
the costumes.
Yes. The gadgets.
Right? This is what they wanted, right? McDonald's didn't want to sell a Happy Meal with Penguin vomiting black ink out of his mouth, right?
What do you mean, man? I think kids would have loved that.
And so this is the product of Tim Burton getting pushed out, and it worked. Like as a kid, yeah, like the toys were cool.
I mean,
right?
Yeah, the Batmobile with the flaming bat, like the giant flamethrower, like the neon engine sort of thing. The gadgety, the opening sequence. I mean, there's so much to this that you just like as a kid are like, yes,
yeah. So like it functioned in that aspect, and we'll dive into it a little bit more. But now I struggle, and I think over the years I remember being like, yeah, it's fine. Like I like it, it's fine.
Yeah,
right. This is the beginning of the end of Batman in the 90s.
Yeah.
But it was fine. And let me tell you, dude, I struggled.
Dude, me too. I struggled hard.
Look, we're almost at 100 episodes.
Yeah.
And I have not struggled on any other movie that we've done.
I think I might have struggled on one, but I can't remember which one it is. So I'm going to say I didn't.
No, let me tell you, dude. It's Wednesday night. I put this on. I'm like, yeah, let's put on Batman Forever.
How many days did it take you to watch?
The movie starts. The music's playing. The Batmobile's rising out of the ground. And then the movie begins with Alfred telling him about the sandwich. And Batman saying, I'll take the drive-thru. And I literally went, what?
Yeah.
What?
Dude, the amount of ridiculous lines in this film.
I turned it off, okay?
Yeah.
I ended up watching the new, the docuseries ILM, about ILM, Industrial Light and Magic on Disney+. Plus.
Yeah.
Had a great time. The next day, I put it back on. And I'm like, look, I'm a professional. I can do this. Make it through the whole cheesy aspect that he's going through the drive-through. That obviously that line was added in there for McDonald's, right?
100%.
We get to what's his face, to Tommy Lee Jones.
Yes.
And like just the way that he chooses to perform this character, like I turned it off again before he even like turns and you see his.
Dang,
his
you
face.
struggled hard.
I struggled, and I was like, I can't. And I had just I turned on the TV and I had just seen that U.S. Marshals was streaming, and I was like, I would rather watch U.S. Marshals with Tommy Lee Jones than this. So instead, I watched U.S. Marshals. Okay, which a side note, this is such a great movie. It's one of my favorites.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
Oh, it's ahead of its time. Okay, it was a sequel. You know how nowadays we have Ballerina from the world of John Wick, right? That's what this was. U.S. Marshals from the world of The Fugitive. It wasn't marketed as a sequel for The Fugitive.
Right.
Okay, so people were confused. It's a fun use case in like how to market a film or the lack of it.
Oh, we should.
And the movie is so good. Robert Downey Jr. in it. Oh, the whole cast.
Oh,
it's
we're
just,
gonna do okay.
Oh, it's a great movie. Anyway, so I ended up watching that instead. Okay, it's now Friday. And I finally get around and I push through and I finish Batman Forever. I struggled with this movie big time. And it's never happened. It is what it is, but like it was rough this time.
You definitely struggled way harder than I do. I didn't struggle that hard, but I did struggle. It took me, I think, 3 watches as well. You did 3 watches? Yeah.
Yeah, 3 watches.
So I did 3 watches, but I made it further than you did.
Okay.
I think I made it to I think it might have even been the end of the first act, or like towards the middle of the second act. But I was like, oh man, the cheese in this is brutal. Like okay, so there's, I think when I talk about this entire film, one, it's like if it just felt so long.
It's so long, and I feel like
I didn't quite have that much of a visceral reaction to Jones's character.
oh my gosh, dude.
I was actually kind of like, especially because like we have Harvey Dent in the Nolan trilogy, and being so prominent, and this one is so on the money with the cartoon aspect. That's something I think that like I kind of miss, not miss. I wish there was a little bit more of that. I think they do, and they do showcase that in a better sense with the Batman,
Okay.
Robert Pattinson, because we watch our episode on the Penguin, and with Colin Farrell, thank you, who and the makeup artist there, like he's not deformed like Danny DeVito, but he's got this quirk and this thing that gives him the name, right? And I think that there's something to that when it comes to Batman films that I want to have. And the fact that there's henchmen in here, just like it adds to the whole aspect. But the fact that we have like Jim Carrey and then we have Tommy Lee Jones just hamming it up with him, and then we have Drew Barrymore as
that quick
and what's her
there.
and then the other girl who the Sugar and Spice, and then just there's just really wild moments, and then you've got the ridiculous tension with Nicole Kidman and Val Kilmer as Batman and Dr. Meridian, and come on.
Look, on paper, this sounds great.
On paper, no.
Especially in 1995, Nicole Kidman, Tommy Lee Jones, Jim Carrey, Val Kilmer, like
Drew
Barrymore. This on paper sounds perfect. Joel Schumacher, right?
Yes.
Right off the heels from Falling Down, okay? Which, again, that movie is about a good man who just sees the flaws in society and he just gets fed up with it and takes justice into his hands. Like it's the right choice to continue this.
Here's the thing,
and it's something else, like just the tone of it all.
Yes. No. Here's some of the thoughts that I had. Okay. So, or as I was trying to process this film, because I'm like, how is this movie that has so much nostalgia for me so bad?
Yeah.
It's so bad. I remember thinking, and I like you. I when I would think back at this film, I was like, it wasn't that bad. Batman and Robin was worse.
Yes.
Okay. Then you got the George Clooney series. I'm like, it's not that bad. And I'm like, I'm almost tempted to watch the George Clooney one to even see if like which one is worse.
I couldn't. No, Batman and Robin by far. But no, I don't think I could.
No. I'm talking about Val Kilmer and
okay.
George's Batman.
Yeah.
Because Arnold Schwarzenegger's Freeze, fond memory. Okay. But how will it age? I don't know.
When was the last time you saw that?
Years ago. At least probably, let's
20
see.
years?
Probably 18 years. Because this was like 20 something years.
Yeah.
Right? And so like, but that's the thing is like, I'm like this, I filmed, I have great nostalgia for watching it now and just like crying a little bit of like, what happened?
It's just such a unique look too. Again, and if you haven't checked out our episodes on Batman 89 and Batman Returns,
it's going to be, I think, episode 6 and 7 or something,
like on our first episode,
first season.
But like the tone that Tim Burton established there, and then you have what's his face, Joel Schumacher, bring a completely different Gotham. These floodlights everywhere.
Yes.
And like these Greek god statues that are 100 feet tall throughout the city. And it just like it changes the tone just from like the set design. And then obviously like the music and then the dialogue, like the script itself, it just becomes something completely different. and it's so unique in that aspect that it's so campy. And
It's so
it's like if the 1960s Batman had this massive budget and special effects and whatnot in the 90s, and this is what we get. And clearly, like, Joel Schumacher has a love for the character, and if you watch interviews of his, like, he does like the character of Batman. A very specific era of Batman, and it's very obvious, right? But, like, it's a little bit challenging to, like, just this whiplash of, like,
Yes.
this tone that Tim Burton established, these characters, and I don't want to say dark and moody, but, like, very fleshed out decisions from these characters to, like, the decision to say, hey, I'm a villain, I'm going to do a parody of Jack Nicholson's Joker as the Riddler, as Two-Face.
Yeah.
And it doesn't land. I get so frustrated. I got so annoyed by the Riddler, by both of them.
Really, I felt like I got a little annoyed from the Riddler, but I felt like there was actual growth there. Like there was like some kind of like development as he, like, I think one of the quirkiest scenes is like when Bruce and Nigma are like at the red carpet. And Jim Carrey like pulls out his glasses and is like puts on his glasses, and then Bruce takes off his glasses and he takes off his glasses. Yeah. And I just think like it's just a quirky moment.
How's my mole? To copy Val Kilmer's mole as well.
Oh man, just so like that was like that like having that moment, but having then like that's why I'm like, for me, Riddler like develops decently.
Yeah,
not great. I still get, by the end of the movie, like I remember. This is part of the reason why my mom hated having this show up on screen. You know, like his all of his lines, man. Tommy Lee Jones, he just hams it up so much, and by the middle, like not even the middle of the movie, the third time he shows up, you're like, oh, what is happening?
Yeah.
I think one of the worst is when he's like on the couch and he's like having to decide with his coin toss whether he's going to participate in the destroying of the Batcave and Wayne Manor, right? Like, it's just, I'm like,
if he's gonna shoot Bruce Wayne, yes, that's
Bruce
right.
Wayne,
Yeah. There, but it's. I'm curious to know what that direction was. What notes were given to him? If that was his decision of being like, I'm gonna play this over the top, or if this was Joel saying like, hey, remember what Jack Nicholson did? Right. Tap into that. Right? Like, let's jump into that. And I almost wonder if he wanted to bring the Joker back. Like, I think that's what he wanted in the end, was to, like, bring him in, and, like, he couldn't. He couldn't, maybe Tim Burton, because he stayed on as a producer, air quotes producer. He very much washed his hands from this production. It was like, nah, this is your thing.
Yeah.
Right? Give me the credit as a producer, but this is your thing. But it's interesting just because, like, for me, it just didn't quite land. Tommy Lee Jones, I do like the idea of like he is now, after this traumatic experience that's just very much glossed over.
Yes. In like a one news segment.
Yeah. We spent so much time on Riddler's origin story and 20 seconds on Two-Faces, which is so frustrating. But like, I like the idea that they wrote him as this multiple personality. He talks as we, us.
Yeah.
You know, like, we like this. I don't know if that's gonna vibe with us. And like, I wanted to see like a struggle of these personalities in there.
Yeah.
On paper, it's there, but it's not delivered to us. And it's very frustrating because it's like, okay, like what ticks this guy off? Like, he has this moral code, so to speak, where he feels like he's being fair by flipping the coin, right? Yeah. That's the true justice, is that he's not deciding, fate is deciding. That's the true justice. And like, I would have wanted the story to like lean into that. The Dark Knight jumps into it a little bit, but that's a whole different characterization of Harvey Dent. But here we could have really dug into like this conflict of these multiple personalities going at each other, because you literally have two different girlfriends, you like two different types of food, you dress in two different manners.
Yeah.
Like, why not dig into that conflict? And Tommy Lee Jones in 1995 could have delivered that performance.
100%. Okay, so how much of this is you carrying in some baggage from the Dark Knight trilogy?
This is hard. I think, and I don't know, I think listeners might not like this. I do not like at all. Even when I was a 5-year-old, I never liked the 1960s Batman. Mm. Like, it just, for me, it didn't jive with me. Like, I would put it on TV and I was like, this is corny. Like, this is awful. And there is a love for people that like that, okay? Obviously. And I don't take away any of that love that they have. For me, I never liked it, right? And so, like, Tim Burton's Batman resonated. The animated Batman in the 90s was perfect. Christian Bale's Batman and Christopher Nolan's, incredible. This is not for me because it's too campy for me.
Yeah.
And so, like, going back to your question, I don't think that I'm carrying too much baggage from the Dark Knight trilogy. This was never my style.
Did you never like Two-Face?
No, I love Two-Face.
No, but like in this, like did you never like him characterized at all in this?
I think I've always felt like this was just like a ripoff of the Joker, of Jack Nicholson's Joker specifically.
And I think I could see that. My thing is like I kind of and the reason why I'm asking these questions because I feel very much in line with you. I'm like, wow, especially with like how it's not delivered well, but the opening sequence, we have the lighting and it's we have this introduction to Two-Face from the go. After we get the beautiful opening of, not beautiful, but like I take it back. It's just the opening of the gadgets and the Batman getting ready, right? And then completely subverting this excitement with, would you like a meal? And then, no, I'm gonna get drive-through. Like, just.
If you could have seen me,
I
know my iconic eye rolling. I did that. No one was in the room with me, and I just went, oh, gosh.
I wondered why I felt something. But here's the thing: is that like, because you're 100% correct. I feel like who are the writers?
Akiva Goldsmith is one of them.
Just the crew writers, right? That put this together. They knew the material pretty. I feel like they had a pretty solid feel for the material that they were working for. I just think at the end of the day, like Schumacher's decisions here were to appease the
demands
of corporate
yes
needs. We need a Batman to sell McDonald's Happy Meals.
Yep.
And we need Hasbro. We need a Batman to sell toys.
There is a scene in this movie, a car chase sequence.
Oh yes.
That has no beginning to it. It just randomly gets put in the middle of the movie. We're suddenly in a car chase, and it was designed and filmed and shot and written just to sell toys.
Yeah.
Because there's no inciting incident.
Yeah.
That starts this car chase, and I totally forgot about it. And it's right. The Batmobile shoots the hook, and he drives up the side of the wall. I thought
this inciting wasn't it with the fact that him and Two-Face, and
no,
you're right.
There is nothing that starts this.
I think I just like was letting it watch when I was doing some other things because I remember. I was like, this scene as a kid, I was like, oh, that's cool. Watching it now, I'm like, oh my gosh.
It was
so bad.
It stood out to me so much. I was like, wait, what? Did I miss a scene that brought Batman here? Or that Tommy Lee Jones, it was, I'm like, oh yeah, no, it's to sell toys.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and it's not that I don't like the aesthetic because I do think it's cool. It's a very stylized Gotham.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the fact that we have this I think the fact that we have this is one of the only this era of Batman solidified the gadget portion.
Okay.
right? On some of the film, right? We get rid of some of that.
You don't remember the shark repellent from the 1960s Batman? The bat shark repellent, and he sprays it on. I can't.
I'll be honest with you, I've never watched any because I can't do that.
I can't
camping.
do it. I do
For
it.
many years, I just blocked that out of my memory, the fact that ever happened. Mm-hmm. You know, there's sometimes like moments with Jim Carrey's like, I love the Jim Carrey's introduction as Enigma where he's obsessed with Bruce. I think it has a good moment too. Like there's these like little windows. That's a great thing. I mean, I love his caffeine will kill you. And his freaking his maniacal laugh. I think his line of "Was that over the top? I can't tell." Is the pinnacle of what this movie is. Was it over the top? I for sure can tell.
Yes, but like when your set design is over the top, when your characters are over the top,
Yes,
it's too much, right? Like I would have loved for like Tim Burton to have taken on this aesthetic. That's very unique to how Joel Schumacher, right? We see that especially like 10 years later when he does The Phantom of the Opera, the adaptation of the play. It's a beautiful adaptation of that stage production into a film setting with the set design and like going back to like this over the top, but it's grounded in the music and the performances and what's happening between the characters, right? Whereas here, it's just too much.
Have you
everything?
Did you watch Joel's other movie before? What you call it? I haven't seen it. His where he almost gets nominated.
Yeah, for the one
Obviously not.
Falling Down. Yeah, it's been probably like 5 years. The last time I saw it.
Yeah. So because
that one came out in '93. And it's great, dude. It has Michael Douglas, Robert Duvall, right?
Oh,
We're talking
nice.
about him. It's dark and like gruesome.
Maybe this is one of those things. Hey, we'll do this for you, but you gotta do one for us.
It was produced by Warner Brothers.
You know, I mean, here's the thing. This is one of those things where you look back at these films and you're like, what was this for? You know, like this is one of those like we gotta do a quota. I've been watching the studio.
Uh-huh.
Okay, the first episode, Bryan Cranston is playing this exec in the film. The main studio manager gets fired. I can't remember her name. Anyways, and Rogan comes in and he gets the job, but he has to do it because he agreed to make a movie on the Kool-Aid Man.
Okay.
Because that, you know, like, and there's this whole perspective of like, we got to do Kool-Aid and because that'll bring, you know, big money and blah blah blah, and like and then so his whole thing is because he doesn't want to be a hack and try to like sell out. So he goes to Martin and he's like, hey, I have a movie. And Martin's like, well, I want to do Jim Jones movie. I have this my opus. And he's like, well, why don't we just call it Kool-Aid? And he's like, I got Martin to do the movie. But then he gets, anyways, this whole aspect is reminding me of this first episode of the studio, of the fact that like easily McDonald's goes to, you know, whoever, the Warner Brothers. Okay.
And keep in mind, this was the highest grossest film of 1995.
It was.
Right?
And of course it did. I mean, I think at the time, it's gonna, like, the era, the time, this is some of the first times for things like this.
Yes.
Like, we're not dialed in. People may not have liked it because, you know, obviously you look at 89, you look Batman Returns, but to the general public, it did great.
Yeah. More than great, right?
Yeah, more than great.
It's unique in that aspect. I do love Val Kilmer as Bruce Wayne, and I wanted more. I think I think I said the same thing out of Batman Returns. Batman Returns very famously like casts aside Batman and Bruce Wayne and really focuses on the villains, right? And I think the same, not that happens here, but like I just wanted more from Val Kilmer as Bruce Wayne, because he brings this troubled trauma that he's repressed, and that's a big theme of the movie, right? This duality and identity and how do we deal with grief. This is a man who has just put it away. And when he is as Batman, or sorry, as Bruce Wayne, he just brings that humanity to the character that in my opinion, Michael Keaton never did.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Except for one scene.
Tell me.
The rose dropping to the floor and him automatically going... I could not, dude. I quit. I rage quit at that part.
That was one of your times for you.
I was like, what the hell?
That could have been edited differently.
I think that, like, don't get me wrong, because I agree with you. I think Val Kilmer's. Here's the thing. I think I want more contrast from this film. That's what I want from here, right? It feels like we're gonna bring back the fact we're both band nerds from back in the day. Having the band director be like, no, look, I say loud. We don't need to stay loud. We need to come down. If you don't drop down, where are you gonna go to build back up? Right? That's what this film lacks. Is they dialed it into a fortissimo and they said, let's just ship it.
I love that you bring that up because this movie. I love that you bring this up because this time around, it stood out to me very strongly the theme of duality. Right? It's very obvious with Two-Face, right? And as we've talked, his use of the coin in exacting justice or his motivation to do anything. You have obviously the duality of Bruce Wayne and Batman. You have this unique contrast and duality between Bruce Wayne seeing Dick take the same steps that he has, of wanting to avenge of where he's at now as the Caped Crusader, versus where Dick Grayson is now beginning this path.
I'm so sorry. I just remembered Val Kilmer saying, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
And literally...
No one hears?
No one hears. Especially Dr. Meridian.
He was right next to him.
I'm like, come on, are you freaking kidding me? She says a line too right after that I'm like, I can't even right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So like the movie has this theme of duality. Like I said, Bruce sees himself in Dick and it's just, it doesn't quite get there. Right. And it's attempting to, I think going back to your point, like this movie just felt too long. You could have really dug more into these aspects of duality of Bruce Wayne. Give Val Kilmer the ability, which he has, the opportunity to deliver some really deep, dramatic moments as Bruce Wayne.
Dude, listen, I think we get rid of the Riddler in this whole movie. We make it all about you do this all about Two-Face. Mm-hmm. Two-Face comes in, he's having issues. Maybe you introduce some other smaller character that might have needed some attention, but then they have the whole scenario. You bring in, Dick Grayson's and the Graysons arc a lot sooner, because that was one of the things
we're 35 minutes into this and we're barely introducing Dick.
Yes. And I'm like, and then he kind of like, he's sporadic after that. And, because we're focusing on the fact that we have all these other characters, mm-hmm. Like on paper, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So many things, you're like, oh, but when you look at the story, you're like, well, like you said, the duality of the situation, but also that every one of these characters has these moments. And for Dick Grayson, played by Chris O'Donnell, he's now brought into this struggle of duality, right? The fact that Meridian hands out this weird, she has a dual, this unrealistic and unhealthy relationship with Batman after he comes in. What's the line they say? Let me see if I can.
It's the car. Chicks dig the car, right?
No, yeah. No, there's like that's probably what. You're trying to get under my cape, doctor?
Which also, for a movie that's catered to kids, this is one horny movie.
One
dude.
horny movie. Oh my gosh. Without a doubt,
Yeah.
somebody's over there looking up what the heck is happening to my body.
But no, you're absolutely right. I just, and this was one of my notes that I wrote as I was watching the movie. Like, the movie, like, it has the blueprints for a phenomenal drama on Bruce Wayne and Batman.
And a trilogy, honestly.
Yeah. And it's like, I love the idea of bringing in Robin and for Bruce to say, like, I want to steer this kid away from the life that have chosen, right? And I want to, like, really actually genuinely help him. And I don't want him to make the same mistakes that I have, or the choices that I've made, or have him fill his life with darkness and vengeance and whatnot. But it doesn't quite commit to it. Or I do, on paper, again, the character of Dr. Chase Meridian, like an individual who studies multiple personalities and whatnot, and like, for her to then be attracted, right, from a medical and from a sexual perspective, attracted to Batman, is very unique. Like, that's something to explore there.
Oh, there's so much potential.
Right? And then the idea of Bruce Wayne then having to face his past, these memories that he has repressed and has pushed down, for them to suddenly come back as all of this duality is happening in his life. What does that mean? Very famously, there is a Schumacher cut out there that Joel, before he passed, said, yeah, it's out there. And on the script, it really focused more on that aspect. There's more scenes of Bruce Wayne, like, learning about the cave and the bat. There's the famous scene, you can see the deleted scenes of an actual man-sized bat that, like, comes out at him. It's a very creepy. They kind of did a version of it for Batman versus Superman. But like, there's even a whole segment where he actually, as an adult, finds that red journal.
Yeah.
And he's reading his dad's journal and going through what expectations his dad had for him. And now he's having this conflict of, like, am I living up to what my dad wanted for me? Like, that's rich story. Even also, like, we later find out that he was the one that wanted to go to the movies, and his parents wanted to stay home and rent a movie, and he forced them to go. And so now he blames himself for the death of his parents. And, like, there is so much there to explore. But instead, to your point, the studio gets involved and says, nah, that's not what we want to explore here. We want to sell toys.
Yeah. So here's I think at the end of the day, listen,
It's frustrating.
It's frustrating because, like, and I think this is where I'm excited to talk about how, Batman Begins kind of reshapes what Batman is, and how Batman, honestly, I really think I need to rewatch all the Batman to try to, not the 60s, but and get a sense of, like, how, and just give a point of, like, how Batman has played a very intriguing role in how society and how it's impacting culturally things. Because I think there is something here.
Sure.
That, it's a huge flood of commercialization in a lot of different areas that, you lose out, but then you have, the Nolan who comes in who really solidifies, no, I want to have a realistic perspective with heart, pulling moments with performances that were phenomenal, right? And then we come back to this, Ben Affleck, where promised something, but then there's studio execs disasters of trying to compete with some other things. So there's lots there. I kind of want to end this podcast talking about how that to our homeboy James Gunn. Are you okay? I just think like he has a movie in the docket for a Batman Robin film.
Yes.
Okay. We haven't had Robin. We get alluded that there was a Grayson or a Robin with in the Nolan films at the very end that he might have might have taken up a mantle at the end, right? Everyone wanted something. But James Gunn is going to tackle this in a couple of years.
Yeah.
If we could send a love letter to James Gunn, and we have this as like some things of not to do, and what things that he should make sure there could be that he can learn from this film, what would those be?
Yeah, I had this thought because look, this is 1995. 10 years later, very campy this version. 10 years later, we get
Batman Begins.
Batman Begins, and then in 2016, so 11 years later, we get Batman versus Superman. We're 2025. Okay, so like, what tone, what shift are we going to see with this new Batman, Brave and the Bold?
And we know that this is the introduction to Damian Wayne.
Yeah, here's where I'm kind of like sad about this, is that we are getting Damian Wayne.
I agree.
And I really wanted, this movie made me realize, no, I want Dick Grayson. I want a Batman, for the reasons I already mentioned, a Batman who is going to have conflict of what it means to be a mentor to someone who is wanting to follow my steps, in my steps. And I know that it's not a healthy lifestyle to be doing what I'm doing, but I'm committed to it, and it is what it is. I have the opportunity to say no and help someone else, right? A complete stranger, which is a very different dynamic to your son that you didn't know you had.
Yeah, no, I cannot express how much, and no, I want a good Dick Grayson on film as a Robin.
Yeah.
Because it deserves to be there.
That story deserves to be told. That dynamic between the two characters.
The comics have done this 100 times, but like he's evolved into Nightwing and becomes Nightwing. There's a reason why he plays this, and he takes the mantle at one point as Batman, right? And to me, I think there's something, you cannot have the Bat family without Dick Grayson, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I mean, whatever he decides to do with that, and in the comics, Damian Wayne is just this bloodthirsty assassin, right?
Yes.
And the dynamic that Bruce Wayne takes on there is, let me be a father figure to him, and like help him like understand why we don't exact justice, why we don't kill, why we don't do this, right? But this is a Batman who has had a Batgirl, a Dick Grayson, right? And so he's
lost Jason Todd,
right? So he's had experience, and now he's kind of been like, yeah, like, you're going to be part of this. Let me teach you why we do what we do. Whereas with Dick Grayson, it's an opportunity of conflict of saying, I don't want you to follow in my steps. I don't want you to do what I'm doing.
Dude, it's just the epitome to having a first child, like trying to navigate this whole situation, right? To me, I think for James Gunn, what he can learn here is one, that the message of duality is the message that he's trying to combat when he has Dick Grayson. He's trying to not have him, like you said, follow in footsteps, but understand that like they are people that have this moral or this internal obligation to do what was wrong to them.
Yeah.
Right? It's unhealthy. But the fact that, Dick becomes this one and Bruce is there to help him navigate that is something that is so universal for a parent. And it can be done very well. Where, like you said, the difference here with a Damian Wayne is that you've got the complete opposite. There is no, he's trying to instill a heart into Damian, where Dick Grayson, he's trying to save the heart.
Yeah.
Right? And that, to me, alone, just I mean, don't get me wrong. Would I love to see Damien? I want to see Damien on screen eventually. Yes.
Yeah, of course.
I just don't like this.
I feel like we haven't earned it.
We haven't earned it. Yes, that's a perfect example of a way of putting it.
We haven't earned it, and I don't think we should get that. Oh man, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I mean, the biggest thing though, and James, like, don't hire a 28-year-old to play a 16-year-old. Don't hire a grown man with thick old sideburns.
Yeah,
to have to be adopted by a guy that's like 5 years older than him.
I know. I was actually just thinking about. I was like watching this. I'm like, he's supposed to be like a freaking kid. The whole time as a kid, I just assumed that he was just another doll, and that Batman was just like bringing him in as like a thing. But the fact that he's like supposed to be a freaking child is insane. I mean, he climbs up to the top and holds the giant cannon bomb off the top of the roof, like, and then does his ridiculous parkouring. The whole time he was doing his Crystal or the stunt double. Don't get me wrong. Kudos to stunt people.
Yeah, of course.
But at the end of the day, I just was like, parkour.
Nah, dude, the drying of his clothes, that's what steals it.
Come on. What kid did not do that after you saw that on screen?
Oh, please, get someone that's age appropriate.
Oh my gosh. It's just so, especially with like Alfred, like, oh, what a kid. This is the first movie that I'm like, I can never see this movie again. I'll be fine.
I think, look, I'll never watch Batman and Robin because it's just bad. Okay?
Yeah.
But this movie, I can't get myself to watch it because it has so much potential. And it's just like, it's right there. Like, this could have been really good, but because of studio meddling and interference and selling toys, we get what we got, and that's why I can't come back to watch this, because there is so much potential here for an incredible, powerful, character-driven movie about Batman duality and what it means to be a mentor and all these themes, and it's just we get Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones just...
And poor Val.
Yeah.
Honestly, he was robbed. Honestly.
He was, and Joel Schumacher talked about how much he hated working with him and whatnot, and it is what it is.
It is what it is. Well, look, I'm happy that we revisited it because it had been many, many years. And honestly, I'm glad that we revisited it in this setting because especially with us approaching our 100th episode, because we've done 2 full seasons of being able to like just express our understanding of like films, and coming back to some of these earlier films that helped like impact my love for film, for cinema, and realizing nowhere is this is one of those things where like you go to, I think we're going to be saying the same thing about this when people go watch Quantumania.
Oh, okay.
They're going to come back and like, what the heck happened? Why did they make this?
Why did they make this? Yeah, and I had this final thought when I finished the movie. I just sat there. I was like, is this more of a narrative of me becoming, like, have I lost the nostalgia for this movie? What does that say about me as a viewer, as someone who was a fan, like, enjoyed this movie? Like, am I the problem here? Like, why can I not watch this and just say
I think it's because sorry.
And just say like, yeah, it's bad, but like I had a good time with it. Whereas this time I just did not.
No, I think you're not wrong. I think because I had a similar thought. And I think what it comes down to is we saw a better way. Nolan introduced a better perspective.
Put a picture of Nolan here and just No, you're absolutely right.
Because it's not that we didn't have. I think there's moments of nostalgia for sure, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to go back to here. I'm like, I know what this is now.
Yeah.
Because You know, I've seen the contrast, right? And that's what I think what it comes down to.
You're right, and Joel Schumacher talked about how he originally pitched this as an inspiration from Frank Miller's Batman Year One. He wanted to do Year One, right? And there's, like I said, in the original script, there's elements of that conflict, but we got it eventually with Batman Begins, which I'm excited to talk about.
Me too. Look, we hope you guys enjoyed today's episode on Batman Forever. We're not sorry that we made you watch it, but we're glad that you came in and talked about it with us. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. If you love this episode, leave us a review or drop a comment. It really does help us get discovered, and we can get to know you.
And we want to hear from you, obviously. Does Batman Forever deserve more love, or is it best left in the Batcave? You can connect with us by joining our newsletter at realchums.com/newsletter. You can also find me, Marcel, on Threads at Marstrosity, MARZTROSITY.
And you can find me at Rubio.tv.
Join us next week as we continue our month-long discussion on anniversary films with the 40th anniversary of 1985's top-grossing film, Back to the Future. I don't think it's playing on any streaming service, or AMC Plus, I think is what I saw.
That's what it is.
But look, we all have a copy of it, maybe somewhere there. Pull it out, dust it off.
And if you don't have a copy, go buy one, because you need this film. This is a must-have DVD film.
Oh, yeah, it is. A great trilogy, this one. 1985, man.
So great.
So excited.
We'll see you guys in the next one.
Later.